Okay, we'll try again. So now we are live streaming at this point. So the court calls the Department of Family and Protective Services versus Kimberly Mahan and Thomas Hamrick. This is cause number 2024-12-25623CV. This case is pending in, let's see. This is in Lavaca County. Yes, so this case is pending here in Lavaca County, Texas. Today's date is January 2nd, 2025. The court is live streaming today's proceedings in compliance with the Open Courts Act due to me doing this on Zoom, and I'm actually physically sitting in Seguin, Texas in court today. We can have announcements of the attorney, starting with the department, please.
Annalisa Longoria for the department, and we are ready.
Okay, Ms. Mahachek.
Jennifer Mahachek, attorney for the mother, and she's present.
Mr. Kabmeyer.
Douglas Cat for Mr. Hemrick, not ready, Your Honor.
And Mr. Hill.
Thomas Hill, attorney ad litem for the children, ready.
Okay, Ms. Longoria, do you know if the department has service on the father, Mr. Thomas Hamrick?
I am not certain, Judge. If I can take a moment to look for that.
Okay, let me see if I can look in our records and see if we have anything.
And I tried to call my client today, and the mother answered saying that they had enticed my client to come get paperwork. And at that time, I believe they served him and arrested him at the same moment.
I am aware that he currently has a warrant out for his arrest due to a bond forfeiture.
Okay, well, so I don't show a return of service, so we're going to assume that he has not been served since I don't have a return. So we will proceed as to the mother. So Ms. Mahachek, have you had an opportunity to talk to your client, Ms. Mahan, see if there was anything that y'all could work out with the department today?
Your Honor, I have spoken with my client. She's not in agreement to work the services unless you're going to order them to her.
Okay, well, if she's not in agreement, that's okay. So at this point, I guess we'll hear some evidence, and then I'll make a decision about whether it's appropriate to order the mother to participate in court-ordered services. So Ms. Longoria, if you'll let me know what it is the department is seeking today for the mother.
We are seeking court-ordered services be ordered today. I would need to call our caseworker, Ms. Casey Machevich, to outline the details of the court-ordered services that we're requesting.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you to call witness, and then if y'all, not only what it is that you were asking that the mother be ordered to do, but as well as why and why it's necessary in this case. So Ms. Matusevich, if you will raise your right hand for me, please. Okay. You swear the testimony you're going to provide in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Let's see if we can get you unmuted.
I do.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Longoria, whenever you're ready, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning. Could you please state your name for the record?
Casey Matusevich.
And how are you currently employed?
I am an investigator with Child Protective Services.
How long have you been an investigator for Child Protective Services?
Since June of 2024.
And what kind of training is involved in becoming an investigator for Child Protective Services?
We have 3 weeks in class, 6 weeks in the field, another 3 weeks in classroom training, hands-on test taking.
And is there any continuing education requirements?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you assigned to a case involving Ms. Mahone and Mr. Hamrick?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you please state the name of the children involved and their ages?
There's born in 2009, born in 2014, born in 2022, was born this past year in 2024.
Thank you. How did the department become involved with the children?
Our first intake came in October. Tested positive for THC at birth.
Okay, you said that was in October. What date was that?
October 16th.
October 16th.
Mm-hmm.
And you stated that was the first intake?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so after you received that first intake for the positive THC, what did you do?
Went to the hospital, introduced myself, and spoke to Miss Mahan and saw baby.
Did that initial report, that initial intake, state that mom denied using drugs or substances during pregnancy?
Yes.
And during that visit on October 16th, did Miss Mahone admit to you that she had in fact used THC throughout the duration of her pregnancy?
Yes.
Did Miss Mahone state where the children were when she utilizes the THC?
Later within the investigation, after I spoke to her on a different date, she did state that she smokes after they're in bed, I believe.
So the kids are in the house while she's utilizing these drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, did a second intake later come in?
Yes, ma'am.
What were the facts surrounding that second intake?
The second intake came in on November the 3rd. Thomas Hamrick was pulled over for a vehicle equipment violation, and upon being pulled over, law enforcement noticed he did have, I believe it was 4 grams worth of methamphetamines in his pocket and a loaded shotgun while he had in the vehicle with him.
And the oldest of the 4, is that correct?
No, he's the second oldest.
Second oldest.
Yes, ma'am.
Was he arrested that day?
Yes, ma'am. He was arrested. They had a family friend come and pick up.
Is he currently out on bond?
At that time, he was, yes.
Are you aware of who bonded him out?
I am not aware of the company that bonded him out.
Are you aware of any warrants that Mr. Hamrick may have?
The bond forfeiture.
And is that a bond forfeiture that resulted from the arrest on November 3rd?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of any other criminal history that he may have?
The bond forfeiture that was for unlawful carry for a felon. He does have criminal history. I do not know the details of it.
Okay, but what he was booked for November 3rd was unlawful carry, felon.
Yes. Unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon.
Okay. Are you aware? I'm sorry, me. So based on your training and experience, what effects does parenting while utilizing drugs have on their ability to take care of their children?
Your reaction times are impaired and slowed down while under the influence. And there's 2 vulnerable age children in the home that rely 100% on their caregivers for their needs.
So are the parents able to adequately and promptly address their needs?
At this time, I have not seen that they are unable to.
And is that due to the drug usage?
I have not been able to say, I cannot say that they are not at this time. I don't have anything that shows that the caregivers are unable to promptly address the needs of the children.
So throughout the scope of your investigation, do you also look at prior CPS history?
Yes, we look at history.
And is there any prior CPS history that concerns you?
Yes, there is significant history with this family for substance abuse.
Has Miss Mahone previously been ordered to work services in those cases?
No, ma'am. The family's never worked services in the past.
Okay. In those prior cases, was it same or similar conduct?
Yes. The past cases, 3 out of the 4 children have tested positive for THC at birth.
So could you please highlight what concerns the department had that brought us to request the court-ordered services for the parents?
It's just the substance abuse. That they're not, it's not being addressed. and that they show a pattern.
Could you please list the court-ordered services that we are requesting today?
Yes. To allow the department to have an unannounced access to the children in the home to ensure the safety and well-being of the children. To attend and engage in parenting classes, focusing on parenting of children and demonstrate learned skills. Comply with any safety plans as deemed appropriate by the department regarding the safety and welfare of the children. Participate in a drug and alcohol assessment and require recommendations to be followed. Participate in individual and family counseling. Attend and participate in a psychological assessment and comply with all recommendations. Allow children Maya Mahon and Silas Mahon to participate in individual counseling. Allow child Alfonsina Hamrick to participate in play therapy as individual counseling. Wingfield Hamrick should be ordered to participate in early childhood intervention and any services that they deem appropriate.
And you believe this is in the best interest of the children?
Yes, ma'am.
I pass the witness.
Ms. Mahachek.
Miss Matusevich, I'm sorry if I'm butchering the
That's
last name. Have you seen the newborn baby after Miss Mahon gave birth to him back in October? I believe you said October 16th of 24.
Yes, ma'am.
And when's the last time you've seen him?
The last time I saw Wingfield, probably over a month ago at their home.
And did he appear that he was doing well or not well?
He appeared he was doing well.
And meaning that he appeared healthy and clean and fed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when you last saw him, you didn't have concerns for his well-being at the time?
I do have concerns for the substance abuse that's going on in the home.
Okay.
And their reaction time.
Okay. Do you know if Miss Mahon has taken her son to the newborn baby doctor's appointments?
No, I do not.
Okay. When you first started investigating the case, did you implement a safety plan for Miss Mahon to follow?
Yes.
And was the safety plan that Mr. Hamrick was not to remain or reside in the home? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she abide by that?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. And do you know why, I believe it was Silas who was found in the vehicle with Mr. Hamrick. Do you know why he was in the vehicle at that time?
I believe Thomas was picking him up from a friend's house.
Okay. And that was November 3rd. That was about within 20 days of Miss Mahon giving birth to the youngest child. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. It was very soon after birth. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is it possible that she couldn't drive at that time or because of just giving birth?
That I do not know.
You do not know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Has Ms. May indicated to you that she suffers from a condition in her brain?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that condition? Do you know?
Pseudo. It is a very long term. I'm trying to think. It's pseudo something.
Is it pseudotumor cerebri?
Yes, that's it.
And do you know, essentially, is it where she has fluid gathering on her brain? Is that a
Yes.
very crude
Yes.
definition of it?
Mm-hmm.
That's not something she's made up, is that correct?
I have not seen any medical records stating that she does or does not have it.
Have you tried to obtain medical records from her or look at medical records for her?
No.
Okay, so you don't know if it's true or not true at this point.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, in regards to, in your report, you talk about the Miss Mahan not receiving prenatal care, is that correct? Or receiving it late in her,
Yes.
late in the,
Yes.
do you know why it was received in your determination as late?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I believe. No, ma'am.
Okay. And then you've referred to the CPS history between Ms. Mahan and the department. Were you an investigator on those other prior cases?
No, ma'am.
And you said that she had not ever been ordered to work services in those prior cases. And is that because they've had a finding of reason not, a finding not to move forward with it?
I cannot state why other caseworkers did not push for services for the family.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Catmeyer, I will grant you're not ready announcement since I don't know that your client's been in fact served. Mr. Hill?
Your Honor, I don't have any questions for the witness, but I want to inform the court of some things in this matter that may or may not affect how we're proceeding here moving forward. Mr. Hamrick is currently in the Lawaka County Jail. Mr. Hamrick was served in this matter on December the 20th. I just want to inform the court of that.
Okay, thank you. I guess I have no proof of the service since I'm not sitting there, so that's why I was being safe and just grabbed Mr. Catmeyer's not ready announcement.
I confirmed that with the district clerk's office prior to this hearing, and also confirmed with the jail staff that Mr. Hamrick is currently in the Lawaka County Jail. So,
okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Ms. Longoria, any other questions for Ms. Matusovic?
No, no further questions, Judge.
Okay, so Ms. Longoria, as I understand it, the department's concerns with the mother are THC and the concerns with the father are potentially methamphetamines and other things. Are the parents together or not together? Do we know?
I do not know. I only have the information that Ms. Muchevich has provided. To her knowledge, mom was not allowing dad to reside with her after the safety plan was implemented, but since then, I cannot tell you what their relationship or living status is.
Okay. Any other witnesses you wish to call, Ms. Longoria?
No, Judge.
All right, Ms. Mahacek, any witnesses you wish to call today?
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to call the mother, Ms. Mahan.
Okay. So we've already established the mother has no video connection today, but Ms. Mahan, if you will see if we can get you unmuted, and then I'll need to swear you in.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Mahan, you swear the testimony you're going to provide in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Mahacek.
Thank you. Ms. Mahan, you gave birth to your youngest child back on October, I believe, October 16th of 24. Is that correct?
He was actually born the 15th, but yes, ma'am.
Sorry. So, and you gave birth to him in the hospital. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then what did you do once you were released from the hospital? Where did you go?
I come to the home I reside in Hallettsville on FM 530.
Okay. And have you been residing since that time with your son and your other children there?
Correct.
Okay. And is my understanding, according to the testimony of Ms. Matusevich, that she had implemented a safety plan with you for a certain period of time where the father, Mr. Hamrick, was not to remain in the home. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you abide by that safety plan?
Yes, we did.
Okay. I want to talk to you specifically about the day, November 3rd. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, it sounded like your connection was going, so that's why I asked that. November 3rd, Mr. Hamrick was arrested and your son Silas was found in the car with Mr. Hamrick. Is that right?
Correct.
And Miss Mahan, where was your son at earlier that evening?
He had went to a Halloween party at the Barreras, and he was supposed to be getting a ride home with a friend. And said friend's mother called me after Silas had already left with the other friend to the party and said she was no longer going and I needed to find him a way home myself.
And at that time, were you able to operate a motor vehicle?
No, I was not.
Because you just had the new baby, is that right?
Yes. 2 weeks postpartum, yes.
So is that why Mr. Hamrick picked up Silas from the party?
Correct.
Did you have anybody else at the time to pick him up, or he's the only person you had?
That was it. I called everybody else I could, and there was just nobody that could get to him.
Otherwise, you would.
He was supposed to have been dropped off to the home from a family friend, and he didn't go and couldn't make it. So,
okay. All right. Miss Hamrick, excuse me, Miss Mahan, I want to also talk to you about the prenatal care. There's some question as to why it was late that you obtained prenatal care for your newest baby. Can you tell the court what happened?
I didn't find out until the latter part of April that I was even pregnant. And then from there, it takes a minute to get the Medicaid approved. And then it was a 2 or 3 week wait at my doctor's office to get into the doctor that I have to use, because not just because of my age, but because of my medical history with the pseudotumor. Only very few doctors will even take me as a patient.
Okay, so thank you. Ms. Mahan, let's talk a little bit about your pseudotumor. Is this something you've been medically diagnosed by a medical doctor having?
Yes, and Texas Children's Hospital is who diagnosed me when I was around the age of 14.
And so what happens to you?
That specifically what started it was a medication I was put on, and the medication exacerbated an underlying condition in which my body overproduces spinal fluid and in turn creates pressure on my brain and optic nerves. I actually went blind for 6 months from one of the medications they had put me on at one point because of the way my body reacted to it. And that's, anytime there's any change in hormones or weight gain, those sort of things exacerbate the situation also.
So are you prescribed medicine from a medical doctor to take for this condition?
No, I've not anymore, only because I have not been in so long. They kept having, it kind of kept going backwards. Every medicine they would put me on, I would end up with a worse variation of my condition. At one point I was going in every 3 months for them to test for organ failure because of the medicines they had me on, just to try and deal with some of it. And like I said, one of the medicines went so far backwards as to I went blind for 6 months.
Okay, so is it fair to say that you're leery of the prescribed medication that you've been put on?
Of any medication at this point, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Ms. Matusevich testified that your youngest baby was born with THC in his system. Are you currently using THC?
No, I'm not currently using it. I have used it and have tried to pretty well quit completely. I had one day where I didn't have any of the children because I had such a bad migraine and I was so sick. I did use a THC based product to to help the symptoms, but I made sure I didn't have the children. But that was one day in months and months. Apart from that, no, I've not been because she had advised me strongly not to. And that being said, though, my symptoms of
Miss Mann, who
Yeah.
had strongly advised you not to?
Casey Machukovich.
Okay. Okay.
My own physician did not care, but
Okay. Your old doctor did not care.
my OB that delivered the baby said that I had a picture perfect pregnancy and that she saw although it's frowned upon, it did not seem to have any negative effect at all in any of my prenatal care or birth.
Okay. And so are you using the THC or the marijuana in the sight line of your children?
No,
And are they in the home when you're using it?
they might be asleep in their beds, at which point I have a shed and a farmhouse and different structures that I just go walk to, leave the baby monitors on so that I can hear and see them. And, when I did do that, I've not been doing that though.
Okay. And are you using the substance to help you with the symptoms you're suffering from the pseudo tumor condition that you suffer from?
Correct.
Okay. Have you been able to meet and provide for your kids' basic needs?
Yes.
Have you taken the new baby for his doctor's appointments and follow-ups because he's a new baby?
Yes, he's went to everything, all of his appointments.
Okay. The THC that you have, is it accessible to your children in the home?
No.
Is it in a locked container?
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Mahan, you were concerned that some of the CPS history that's been reported about you in the affidavit was inaccurate. And one of the things you had talked to me was about one of your children having cigarette burns. Is that correct?
Correct.
And can you tell the court what the inaccuracy is in the report?
In the report, it is a list of things that I've been accused of and accusations of me. And within that says that Marley, Thomas's youngest daughter from his other marriage. I'm sorry. Hang on, baby. Here. That his daughter had been reported with a cigarette burn on her forehead the summer before. The way the report reads, it alludes to that was reported on me. That was actually a report we made on her mother.
And we being you and
Thomas.
Mr. Hammer, you and Thomas,
Correct.
is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any other inaccuracies that you'd like to point out to the court?
Just that there's a few things in there that when the investigation ended, for instance, it had stated, I don't have the whole thing in front of me, that he was not going to have as much custody. He actually was awarded makeup custody time for his children. My children are Native American. There's a few other things in there, but none of which I've ever actually been proved to have done as far as accusations, but they were things that were reported on me.
Okay.
But I've only ever been found to have THC has been the only actual claim that's ever been true.
Ms. Mann, do you feel that you can provide a safe home for your children?
Yes, I provide an excellent home for my children. My older two children are in 3 to 4 sports every semester, and they're both gifted and talented students in honors classes. part of the Hallettsville marching band. We're on elite baseball teams. That doesn't happen on accident.
And do you feel that you can be protective of your children?
Yes, very much.
Okay. And the concern is, I think expressed earlier, that if you're under the effects of the THC, that it's going to affect your ability to respond to the children's needs. And how would you respond to that concern?
I would say that possibly some people that is an issue, but when you have illness or something that the medication actually is doing something for, it tends to not have the great effects it does as, say, somebody that uses it that doesn't have something they need to use it for. It's like when somebody takes a pain pill that's really in pain versus somebody who takes one when they're not. It just doesn't have the same effect on me that it does other people.
Okay. And do you feel that you can provide and protect your children at this time?
Yes.
Okay. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Hill?
Thank you, Your Honor. Prior to Mr. Hamrick's incarceration, were you residing with him?
No, he was residing next door. He's not been here since they asked him to buy the safety plan.
Could you define what next door actually?
There's a trailer house on the property next door that is family owned that he has been staying in. He met the deputy over here this morning to get the paperwork from him, but apart from that, no. He's not been residing here.
Everybody's residing next door, is that correct?
Correct. In a separate address location that we were told was appropriate.
Thank you. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Longoria?
Thank you, Judge. Just a couple of questions. So there's no denial that you utilized THC throughout the duration of your pregnancy, correct?
Correct.
And you're aware that using THC during pregnancy could negatively impact the baby?
Correct.
And despite that, you still chose to utilize THC throughout your pregnancy?
Because the medications I didn't take had a greater list of possible bad things that could happen than what the THC does. But yes.
Okay, so the answer to my question is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you admitted that your other children were in the house while you were utilizing the THC. Is that correct?
Right, but I was not in the house with them.
Okay, but you admit that your children were asleep and under your care. Is that correct?
Yes. Correct.
Okay,
Okay,
please.
no further
Ms.
questions.
Mahan, hold on a minute. Ms. Mahan, please don't interrupt Ms. Longoria when you're speaking. I have a court reporter that's writing down everything that's being stated, and she can only write down one person at a time. So please,
My apologies.
That's okay. Please make sure that you wait till she finishes her question. That'll also give you an opportunity to think about your response before you actually start speaking. Go ahead, Ms. Longoria.
Thank you, Judge. That was actually my last question.
Oh, well,
Thank you.
okay. Ms. Mahacek, any other questions of your client?
I just want a follow-up question for Ms. Mann. Ms. Mann, you testified that you've taken the new baby to the doctor. Are there any concerns for his well-being or health at this time expressed by the doctor?
None at all. He's healthy, looks great. See you at the next appointment.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Mr. Hill?
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Mahan, this is Judge Stuckey. What is the status of your relationship with Mr. Hamrick?
We are currently boyfriend and girlfriend. I'm still technically married to my ex. Sorry, the 2-year-old's very upset right now. But he is also looking at a bit of time here coming up soon that he's probably going to be in jail for all his different things going on.
Well, so it's been alleged, I guess, that Mr. Hamrick is now incarcerated due to him potentially being, I guess, found in possession of methamphetamines. Is it? I mean, if those allegations are true, what impact, if any, does that have on your relationship and your relationship with the children, or his relationship with the children?
He's under the understanding that whenever he goes to court for this criminally, they've worked out some stuff that he's supposed to be getting some help. And that's on his criminal attorney's end, though. Apart from that, that is kind of where it stands, is they were looking into the Valor program for him, but that's not 100% yet, because it's a waiting list thing, etc. Again, though, that's him and his criminal attorney. That's what they're trying to work on getting him to.
Okay, so
which is a rehab facility for veterans.
So let's say that Mr. Hamrick is released next week. I mean, what would be your position on your relationship with him and his relationship with the children?
He's an excellent officer as far as noticing that this was an issue. I had not even going on because he's on for practice with the kids, all this, of course. Eats dinner with us every night, eats breakfast with me every day. So this is what is coming to pass, that he gets the help that his criminal attorney is trying to line out for him, and maybe he can start after that. And then kind of, I guess I'm in a limbo right now, trying to see what all is going to happen.
Okay, so it's your intention to remain in a relationship with Mr. Hamrick, is that right?
Correct, barring that he straightens out his goal and such matters.
So if he continues to use methamphetamines, what
it continues to be an issue that, right, this can't go on forever, but right now I'm kind of waiting to see what happens with everything.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so Ms. Longoria, tell me again what it is the department is seeking and why.
Judge, we're seeking court-ordered services, unannounced access to the children. We're asking for a psych evaluation. We're ordering, I'm sorry, my notes were not well throughout her testimony. I apologize. I can't read my chicken scratch. Do you mind if I ask Ms. Machevich once again?
That's fine. Go ahead, Ms. Machevich, if you'll unmute yourself and let us know what it is the department, what services you would like the court to order the mother to participate in.
Yes, Your Honor. We would like to allow the department to have unannounced access to the children in the home to ensure the safety and well-being of all 4 children. We'd like the family to attend and engage in parenting classes, focusing on parenting of children and demonstrate their learned skills. Comply with the safety plans as deemed appropriate by the department regarding the safety and the welfare of the children. Participate in a drug and alcohol assessment and require recommendations to be followed. Participate in individual and family counseling. Attend and participate in a psychological assessment and comply with all recommendations. Allow children Maya Mahon and Silas Mahon to participate in individual counseling. Allow child Alfonsina Hamrick to participate in play therapy for individual counseling, and allow Wingfield Hamrick should be ordered to participate in early childhood intervention and any services that they deem appropriate.
Okay, Ms. Mahachek, any closing argument or statement you wish to make?
Just a brief closing argument, Your Honor. Ms. Mahan had, after Ms. Machevich had implemented the safety plan, has complied with the safety plan, and she has worked hard to care for her new baby plus the other children. And there hasn't been any new episodes or reports, that have been made since October and the October 15th, since the birth of the child. She has been providing for the children. She is able to meet their needs. And Ms. Matusevich, I'm sorry, I keep butchering your name, has testified that she hasn't seen anything that would indicate that the mother cannot promptly address the needs of the kids. That was her own testimony that we heard today. And Your Honor, we're asking that Ms. Mahan, keep, as to her own words, that she can care and protect and be protective of her children. And please, allow her to continue doing what she's been doing. Thank you.
Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe that the recommendations that the department has made and expressed by Ms. Matusevich are appropriate with children in this matter, and that those services are in the best interest of the children in this matter. I ask the court to grant the department's recommendations for those services at this time.
Okay, so based upon the testimony today, I can tell you that I think my biggest concern after hearing the testimony is Mr. Hamrick and what his relationship will be to the kids. It's one thing to have Ms. Mahan, in this case, using THC. It's another thing to have a person actively using methamphetamines to be around the children. If in fact those allegations are true, we do know that in fact Mr. Hamrick is currently incarcerated. So based upon the requested services, the court's going to deny several of the requested services. I am going to order Ms. Mahan to engage in parenting classes and to continue the current safety plan in which Mr. Hamrick is not around the children until his issues have been resolved. Additionally, I'm going to order an ECI assessment for Wingfield and Alphonsea. Yes. Okay. The request for Silas and Maya Silas to Maya to have their own therapy, that request is denied. It does not help this family to load them down with unnecessary services. The services need to be narrowly tailored to the needs that this family has. The biggest need I see is that the mother needs to, be able to appreciate potential danger to her children and who are good and bad individuals to have around the children. I understand that Mr. Hamrick is the father to at least 2 of the 4 children, but if he's actually using methamphetamines, then Ms. Mahan is going to have to step up and be protective of her children. So again, just to kind of go through those all at one time, the court does order Ms. Mahan to engage in court-ordered services. Obviously, the children will remain with her. The safety plan for Mr. Hamrick to have only supervised contact with the children is continued. The court does order parenting classes for Ms. Mahan, an ECI assessment for the 2 youngest children, the 2 children under the age of 3, so that's Alphonsea and Wingsfield. The court will also additionally order individual therapy for Ms. Mahan. We're going to come back in this case on February 18th, 2025 at 2:30 p.m. Again, February 18th, 2025 at 2:30 p.m. So between now and then, if the department has proof of service on Mr. Kapmeyer's client, Mr. Hamrick, y'all are free to let us know. We'll set a hearing to come back on his portion of the case. Additionally, if Mr. Hamrick remains incarcerated, the department needs to concentrate on what Ms. Mahan needs to do to keep her children safe and treat these 2 cases basically separately. Mr. Hamrick has his own issues. If Ms. Mahan can protect the children from Mr. Hamrick, then her portion of the case will be over. So let's please be very focused on what Ms. Mahan has to do in order to keep her children safe and help her provide her with tools to help her do that. So again, we'll be back on February 18th, 2025 at 2:30 p.m. Ms. Mahan, this is Judge Stuckey. Do you have any questions for the court today?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll be back again February 18th, 2025 at 2:30 p.m. Again, Ms. Longoria at the department has proof of service on Mr. Hamrick. We can come back sooner than February 18th if you would like. Just let us know. We'll get you on the docket.
Sounds good. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. You are excused. Have a good lunch.